I'm Jasril from the Customer Success Team at Consultare Inc. Group. Last week, we've covered management of services and purchase materials as outlined in FSSC 22000 version 6, clause 2.5.1. Today, we will focus on clause 2.5.2, product labeling and printed materials program under FSSC 22000 version 6, additional requirements. This clause ensures that all product labels and printed materials are accurate, verified, and compliant with both regulatory and customer standards. By implementing this program, organizations can prevent mislabeling risk, protect consumers from allergen or ingredient errors, and safeguard brand integrity through effective control of labeling processes, ultimately enhancing audit readiness and reinforcing a strong food safety culture. Before we proceed, let me briefly introduce Consultare Inc. Group. Founded in 2007, we began by assisting businesses with U.S. import and export compliance and have since evolved into a global provider of food safety, quality, and certification support. Today, our services revolve around compliance management software, specialized training, and end-to-end support services that help organizations achieve and maintain compliance with international standards. Through our platform, interlinkiq.com, we offer an integrated compliance management system that streamlines documentation, monitoring, and audit readiness. We also provide dedicated compliance and certification support programs for FSVP, PCQI, SQF, PRCGS, FSSC 22000, ISO 9001, GMP, and HACCP, helping businesses strengthen their regulatory compliance, enhance operational efficiency, and ensure alignment with global food safety and quality management standards. For this week, we will cover the product labeling and printed materials program. In today's session, we will begin by familiarizing ourselves with the FSSC 22000 version 6 additional requirements, clause 2.5.2, product labeling and printed materials. We'll start with a clear description of the requirements, followed by a walkthrough of the compliance action activities, which are the scheduled tasks carried out on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual basis to ensure ongoing certification readiness. We will also discuss the importance of the annual review and internal audit activities, which serve as checkpoints to verify the effectiveness of the program and maintain continuous improvement. After this section, we will open the floor for a Q&A session, giving you the opportunity to clarify any requirements and ask questions related to implementation. If you have questions as we go through the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat box and we'll make sure to address them during the discussion afterward. As part of this training, you can access a free 90-day trial of our FSSC 22000 certification management software. This tool helps streamline compliance tasks, assign accountability, and keep audit-ready records. It's also a great way to prepare for FSSC 22000 certification, as many participants use it to get familiar with the requirements and practice spotting compliance gaps before an official audit. Finally, upon completion of this training, each participant will receive a familiarization training certificate. To ensure you receive your certificate, please make sure that you sign up the form in the chat box. On the screen, you will see a sample of the familiarization certificate that you will receive upon completing each session. With that, let's move forward to our training session where we will be working directly with the FSSC 22000 Compliance Management System software. Let's start by going over the description of the product labeling and printed materials program. Please take a look at the description on the screen. It says, to comply with 2.5 FSSC 22000 additional requirements, 2.5.2 product labeling and printed materials for all food chain categories. 1.1.1 says, In addition to Clause 8.5.1.3 of ISO 22000-2018, the organization shall ensure that finished products are labeled according to all applicable statutory and regulatory requirements in the country of intended sale, including allergen and customer-specific requirements. 1.1.2 states that where a product is unlabeled, all relevant product information shall be made available to ensure the safe use of the food by the customer or consumer. 1.1.3, where a claim such as allergen, nutritional, method of production, chain of custody, raw material status, or others is made on the product label or packaging, the organization shall first maintain evidence of validation to support the claim and have verification systems in place, including traceability and mass balance, to ensure product integrity is maintained. 1.1.4 for food chain category 1 only states that artwork management and print control procedures shall be established and implemented to ensure printed material meets applicable customer and legal requirements. The procedure shall address at minimum the following. First, approval of artwork standard on master sample, process to manage changes to artwork and print specifications, and to manage obsolete artwork and printing materials. Approval of each print run against the agreed standard or master sample, process to detect and identify printing errors during the run, process to ensure effective segregation of differing print variants, and process to account for any unused printed product. Now, to implement this program, we've developed a list of action items located in the Compliance tab. So this section helps the FSQA or the Food Safety Team Leader to stay organized by scheduling the tasks based on their required frequency, whether they are daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or semi-annually. You can choose to add your own compliance activities or have our team preload the required tasks to ensure that you meet all the necessary requirements under this specific section. Here are some examples of your compliance action items to comply with 2.5.2 requirements, product labeling, and printed materials program. Sorry, let me clear my throat. Okay, the first action item is to verify label accuracy during production runs for ingredients, allergens, claims, or regulatory information. Second, approve each print run against master sample standard before release. So by the way, these are examples of your daily action items that you need to perform every day. Next is to inspect in-process printing for errors, color variations, or allergen declarations. Ensure segregation of different print variants like promotional packs or multilingual packs, and reconcile unused or damaged printed packaging materials and securely store or destroy obsolete stock. For your weekly action items, this may include review labeling and packaging records for completeness, like label checks, reconciliations, or artwork approvals. Confirm all unlabeled products leaving site are accompanied by required product information such as allergen statements or storage instructions. Verify training compliance. Ensure operators handling label or packaging control are following documented procedures. And for your quarterly action items, this may include audit labeling compliance against regulatory, statutory, and customer-specific requirements. Review claims validation evidence. Example are allergen-free, organic, sustainability, halal, or kosher claims. Next is test mass balance and traceability systems for product claims. So this can be done by mock recall or trace test. Then conduct internal audit sampling of printed material controls for segregation, reconciliation, and approval process. And then for your Biannual or semi-annual action items, this may include reviewing and updating the master label register and approved artwork library, revalidate artwork management procedures, assess supplier-provided claim evidence for accuracy and continued validity, and finally, conduct refresher training for QA, procurement, and production teams on labeling and printed material control. So you can choose to add your own compliance activities or customize it according to your intended process. So to complete these actions, let's check on the provided work instructions in the instruction and evidence section here. So let's pick one to approve each print run against master sample or standard before release. Let's check on the instructions here. Hmm. So to complete this specific action item, first you need to maintain master label samples and standards. So this can be done by keeping an approved master sample or digital standard for each product label. You need also to ensure that it includes all the required elements such as the design, claims, allergens, regulatory information, and formatting. For your artifacts and records, you need to complete the master label file, the controlled artwork archive, and your label specification sheet. Next, you need to verify correct label version before printing. So this can be done by confirming the right print file or plate matches the most recent approved version and checking against the document control system or the revision lag. So the artifacts or records that you need in hand here are the artwork approval record, your revision history lag, or your preprint authorization form. Afterwards, you need to conduct first article or print proof check. So this can be done by inspecting the initial print sample before full production begins. Also, you need to compare with the master sample or digital standard for the following information. First, ingredient and allergen statements, claims and legal text, layout, colors, font size and barcodes, and regulatory symbols and net quantity. So to complete this, you need to fill up the first article inspection form, proof of comparison checklist, or your QA or FSQ sign off. Then part of complying the requirement is approving or rejecting the print based on compliance. So you need to approve only the 100% aligned, or you need to approve the label if it is 100% aligned with a master sample or standard. And you need to reject and correct any deviations before print run continues. So for the artifacts and records, you need to complete the print approval lag, the corrective action records, and your reproof request. After that, you need to document authorization prior to release. So this can be done by obtaining the sign off from your QA, your FSQ, or any authorized personnel before the print run proceeds. So you need to complete the authorization form, digital approval record, or the email confirmation of the authorization prior to release. Next, you need to monitor during production. So this can be done by conducting spot checks to confirm ongoing match with the approved proof. So the forms that you need to fill in are in-run verification lags, packaging line check sheets. After that, you need to retain print samples for traceability. So this can be done by retaining the file or filing the approved sample with version details for each print batch and include the lot or date code where variable data applies. So for the artifact and records, you need to complete the retained label sample file, the print batch record, or the label control lag. And finally, you need to dispose or quarantine any incorrect or obsolete labels. So you need to remove and document the misprinted, any outdated or unapproved labels. And for the records and artifacts, you need the obsolete label disposal lag or the hold or reject records. So these are your work instruction to make sure that you perform this action item, approve each print run against master sample or standard before release. Um, so when you're or when you're done carrying out this activity, you need to upload your evidence of compliance. So let's check here the evidence of compliance. In this case, this is the in-process printing inspection record. So as you can see, this record or artifact captures who performed the inspection, what was checked, what are the findings, and any corrections made, as well as the final QA approval. So this record ensures full traceability and audit readiness for labeling control activities. Once this form or this record is uploaded, so you can complete this specific compliance action item and change the status from no to yes. So your goal as an FSQ or team leader is to perform all compliance activities according to their scheduled frequency to ensure that your facility, processes, and documentation remain fully audit ready. Once again, these are just samples of compliance best practices that you can adapt in your facility. So next, let's go over to the annual review tab, which also serve as your gap assessment tool. So this tab is designed as an internal audit checklist in the form of a questionnaire. These are aligned with the FSSC 22000 requirement. It lists all required annual review items to help you maintain compliance with the certification standards. So here you'll find the annual review items that should be reviewed to maintain compliance with 2.5.2 product labeling and printed materials program. So here are some of the examples. First, are all finished products labeled in compliance with statutory and regulatory requirements in the country of intended sale? Do product labels include all allergen declarations as required by law and customers? For customer-specific labeling requirements, does the site have documented compliance evidence? Where products are sold or transferred without a label, is all relevant product information like allergens, storage, safe use instructions are made available to customers or consumers. For each product claim like allergen-free or organic, sustainability, chain of custody, is evidence of validation available to support the claim? Is a verification system in place like traceability or mass balance to ensure the claim is accurate and product integrity is maintained? Have the claim validations been reviewed within the last 12 months to ensure continued compliance with customer and legal requirements? Is there an approved artwork standard or master sample for all printed packaging materials? Is there a documented process to manage changes to artwork or print specifications and ensure obsolete artwork is withdrawn? Are each print run approved against the agreed master sample before use? Is there a process to detect and identify printing errors during production runs? Is there a process to segregate different print variants effectively to avoid mix-ups? Is there a reconciliation process to account for unused printed materials like labels, cartoons, or sleeves? Are records of label checks, approvals, reconciliations, and artwork reviews maintained and retrievable? Has the labeling and artwork control system been reviewed during the last 12 months for effectiveness? And have training records for staff involved in labeling, packaging, and artwork management been maintained and updated? So just like in the compliance tab, you can add work instructions and compliance activities on the instructions section to complete each of this annual review action item. So for each example, or let's pick one example to complete the audit checklist. This question number 2. Do product labels include all allergen declarations as required by law and customers? So you can use the work instruction here. Work instruction for verification of allergen declaration on product labels. So as part of your verification, you need to collect the applicable allergen requirements. So this can be done by reviewing the country-specific food labeling regulations, review customer requirements or contractual allergen declarations, and maintain a reference file of mandatory allergens. So these are milk, eggs, fish, crustacean, shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, soy, sesame, and sulfites. So your records to be filled up is your allergen regulatory reference file. Next, you need to verify allergen declarations on product label. So this includes reviewing the finished product labels to confirm that first, all allergens present in the formulation are declared, cross-contact risks are declared where applicable, allergen declaration format follows statutory guidelines, and customer-specific allergen statements are included if required. So the record that you need to fulfill is your allergen label verification checklist. Next, you need to approve labels for printing and use. So the FSQA officer verifies the allergen declaration, then the QA manager reviews and approves the label artwork, and the regulatory affairs officer confirms compliance when required. So for your record, you need to complete the label approval form. Then you need to inspect printed labels and packaging materials. So receiving verifies printed packaging against approved master copy. Then you also need to confirm allergen declarations are visible and must be legible on the label, and reject or quarantine any non-conforming printed materials. So for this task, you need to complete the incoming packaging inspection lag. And then part of your um, performing to to fulfill the annual review is to monitor the audit labels in production. So this can be done by conducting periodic label audits on finished products and ensuring allergen declarations remain accurate after any product reformulation or supplier change. You need to complete the label audit report on this specific step. And then finally, the last step is to conduct annual review of allergen label compliance. So you need to review all allergen declarations annually on all your labels and update labels as required due to regulatory or customer changes. So for the record or artifact, you need to complete the annual allergen label review lag. So once completed, you can upload any document as proof of compliance. So in this case, you can upload the actual label of the product. So in this case, it's cassava root chips, sea salt flavor. Excuse me. So as you can see here, the ingredients are clearly shown: cassava root, palm oil, and sea salt. So although it does not contain any allergen on the allergen list, but um, it was declared here that processed on equipment that also handles peanuts, soy, and wheat. So this declaration is important so that your label will comply with the requirements under clause 2.5.2. So this falls under cross contact. Uh, Although you're not using any allergens on your ingredient, but if the facility is producing any of the allergens listed on the list, so you need to declare that as well. So your goal is to complete these annual review items to keep your site fully prepared for both internal and external FSSC 22000 certification audits. So if you finish this checklist, it confirms that your facility and your process is compliance and ensures that you're audit ready at all times.